Create your dream birding adventure anywhere. That's what the title says, and I mean it. In this video, I'll show you how to plan a DIY birding trip. Do it yourself. I used my method to see a whopping 107 species in New Zealand. No guide, no tour group, just me, just strategy, planning, and a whole lot of birds. I want to teach you how to do it. In this video, you'll get the exact places I went to in New Zealand, from Itinerary to Stewart Island, how to set a realistic target for bird species you're going to find, the gear, the apps, the booking tips that you're going to need, and how to fit it all around a real-life family trip. Whether you're chasing a kiwi through the woods with a flashlight, or you want to see an albatross soar next to you on a boat, I'm giving you the full DIY playbook. Let's go! Before you even touch a map or pick up a guidebook, you got to figure out how much time you have for birding. New Zealand's enormous. There's 3 islands and more. But if your trip is like mine, where it's a family trip first and birding second, you've got to be strategic. I had 26 days in New Zealand, but that's not all pure birding time. There's a lot of family things as well in there. So I mapped out which days and which locations I could realistically birdwatch at. For example, I just had one birding day on the North Island. We were there for like 4 days, but we had no rental car, and I only had one day to bird, so I had to be strategic. So I chose to go to Itinerary Island because the ferry to the island leaves from Auckland City. You could walk there from the hotel. And on the boat trip to the island, we saw a bunch of pelagic bird species. And the island is full of North Island endemics. Win-win. Boom. Top tier birding with no logistical headaches. So you got to align the spots with activities your travel group will enjoy too, like a boat ride or a hike. How do you pick a number of how many bird species to aim for? This is a great question, and I love using eBird to answer it. New Zealand has 360 species of birds if you were to look at all of them all time on eBird or in these field guides. You can't see all of those on a 3-week family birding trip. You're not going to do it, and you're going to set yourself up for failure. I used eBird data and data from past tour groups, I'm going to show you that in a second, to land on a goal for the trip, which was 100 species of birds. Tour groups usually find 120 to 130 species, so I felt 100 is ambitious but reasonable. Especially if you go to hot spots. If you go to the right hot spots, and I'm going to tell them to you, you should be able to get to 100. Kaikoura, Ulva Island, Stewart Island, Itinerary up near Auckland, Okarito, the lagoon, Miranda Shorebird Center. Just those few, and you'll be surprised how quickly your numbers add up. When you're building a birding itinerary to anywhere in the world, you gotta start with the endemics, the birds that are only found there and nowhere else in the world. Target them and let the other birds happen. Because if you miss them, you're never gonna see them again. They're only in New Zealand. So here was my hit list for NZ. Of course, the kiwi, iconic. To see that, you have to go to Ulva Island or Okarito or Itinerary at the right time. The kia is the only alpine parrot in the world. You got to go to Arthur's Pass. The tui bird and the bellbirds, the stitch birds, you got to go to the predator-free islands. The kaka and the New Zealand falcon, what are those? You got to go to Stewart Island and the Fiordlands. And everyone's favorite, the largest bird in the world, the albatross, you got to go to Kaikoura and the Otago Peninsula. These few birds guided my trip. I couldn't see everything, so I picked the must-sees and I built the trip around those. Birding tours are so expensive. I Googled the one for New Zealand. It's $9,500 US for 2 weeks. That's for one person. We're a family of 5 driving around. That'd be crazy money. If you want to know where the pros go, copy their routes. Tour companies publish their itineraries online. Don't do it yourself. They've already cracked the code. So I studied the itineraries of a few birding tours. Eagle-eye tours, wrybill tours, to name a few. And they all go to the same hotspots. There's a few places on the North Island they say to go. Itinerary, ding, that's the one I went to. And the Miranda Shorebird Center. I couldn't go to that because I didn't have a car, but I really wanted to. On the South Island, all the tour companies say go to Kaikoura for a pelagic. That's where the albatrosses come up close. Arthur's Pass for the Kia, the Okarito Lagoon for the Okarito brown kiwi, Dunedin's Otago Peninsula, that's where the Royal Albatross Center is, and of course the Stewart and Ulva Islands, which is way down at the bottom. It's the third biggest island in New Zealand. That's the endemic hotspot for the south. These spots kept showing up over and over again, so I built my itinerary around them. It's a DIY, but I'm using the info from the pros. Why reinvent the wheel? So when you're on your DIY birding adventure and you're not sure where to go that day, let eBird tell you. I mean, the app is magic. It'll show you exactly where the birds are being seen and when. Like, it tells you. It's like a best friend saying, hey, Rick, go here. These are all the birds that were seen yesterday. Okay. So on this trip, I'd zoom to spots like Kaikoura and go on the pelagic trip. That's where people were seeing multiple albatrosses. During my research, I was looking at Stewart Island. That's where the kaka and the moorporks were being seen. As I'm zooming around doing my research, I saw Okarito Lagoon. Like, that's where the kiwi and the fern birds were being seen. I zoomed to Arthur's Pass. That's where the kias are being seen right outside the cafe. I want to go to that cafe. My wife likes a coffee. That's the cafe I'm going to choose to go to. Each day on my birding trip, I used eBird to pick trails and to even tell me what time of day, because it tells you exactly when they were seen yesterday. This is game changing. Great birding requires great logistics and great flexibility. New Zealand has so many ferries and boat trips with limited accommodations in some of the hot spots. We'll get to that in a second. So you have to plan early, but you got to be flexible. So on my planning spreadsheet, I had the following boat trips. I had the Itinerary ferry to go from Auckland to the island, the Nature Wonders tour to see all the little blue penguins in Otago, the Real NZ Ulva Island tour, and the Real NZ Stewart Island Kiwi tour. I had the Albatross Encounter in Kaikoura, and I had the Fiordlands ferry. All these things required good weather for the boats to run on time, and they can be canceled at any time the day of or the day before based on the weather. So I had to build in flex time so that if there was a cancellation, we could swap it out for the next day if the weather tanked. So my advice to you, build in flexibility. Don't overschedule yourself. There's got to be some wiggle room to get out to Stewart Island if the ferry doesn't run, because you wouldn't want to miss that entire island because you overscheduled and you couldn't go the next day. So Stewart Island, Kaikoura, make sure you're flexible because those are can't miss trips. Don't show up with the wrong gear. It's a long ways back home. New Zealand's wild. You got to be ready for it. The coastal wind, you go up to all these high elevations. We visited a glacier. We went to a rainforest. We went into a lagoon. Like, you got to be ready for all weather types. So what you need technology-wise, your phone, of course, with eBird downloaded. Get the New Zealand pack and download it before you go, because sometimes the internet's spotty there. Get the Merlin Bird ID app. So it doesn't really help on endemic species, like they haven't loaded those in, but all the European vagrants that are there, it picks it up right away. So that's pretty good. Gear. When you bring your binoculars, make sure you've got all the snaps, the rain covers and all that, because you're walking through wet spots, or on the boat, the water's constantly splashing. So make sure you have that. Bring a wipe to wipe off your binoculars. on the boat. It's annoying, but that's what happens. Bring a power bank. You're out all day. You don't want your phone to lose batteries. I brought my spotting scope. You can't use it on the boat because the boat's always rocking, but for shorebirds or the big vistas or the lagoons, it was so handy. And rain gear. I brought a rain jacket. I wore it all the time. Field guides. I love having actual physical books. I read it on the plane. I read it a couple weeks in bed before we went on our trip. And I just love having field guides for all the countries. You can look around my office. There's so many books here. But it gives you an idea for, like I said, 360 species. But these are water birds, shorebirds, pelagic birds. These are forest birds. That tells you how many birds are out at sea. And that's why it's so important to go on as many ferries, as many pelagics as possible. And I would read them the night before. What am I going to expect tomorrow? What birds haven't I seen? This book was awesome. The 50 best birdwatching sites in New Zealand. So when I had my itinerary, I would go through it and it would tell me exactly what species and where at that park or that island to see the birds. Super handy. Like in business, what gets tracked gets spotted. If you don't know what you've seen or what you've missed, you're flying blind. So every night, I would review my trip report. I would go through my eBird checklists, see what I was hoping to see at that hotspot, and what did I actually see. And what's missing is the gaps. So I got to make sure I can catch up with that on a future spot. For example, if I missed the rifleman at Itinerary, I'd want to make sure I saw it on Stewart Island. If I dipped on the little penguin in Otago, I got to make sure I catch up with that in Dunedin. Your checklist becomes a game and a strategy tool. I knew my target was 100, so I would always check each day, how close am I to 100? All right, we're off the North Island. I'm at 35 species. All right, 65 to go. It was kind of a game, and I liked playing it myself. Your best bird won't be on your itinerary. I promise you. Rare sightings and weather changes are inevitable. It was raining on our tour, the Kiwi tour, on Stewart Island. That was also the night I was hoping to see the moorpork, which is the only owl in New Zealand. I wanted to hear it calling, but because of the rain, it was silent. So I made a note on this dip, and I said, I've got to hear it. And so when I was in Okarito, I went out specifically at night to hear the moorpork. But it was only because I remembered missing it, and I noted it in my journal. I've got to go find it later. Check. Now I've got it. There's some tours and experiences birding-wise in New Zealand you have to book ahead. New Zealand's most incredible birds, they're often in places that are hard to get to, especially without a tour. Trust me, the boats and the guides and even the hotels in these areas, they fill up fast. Here are the must-book experiences I strongly recommend securing before you land. Itinerary Island. It departs from Auckland. You gotta buy your ticket ahead of time. You book with this company called 360 Discovery Ferries. This is where I saw the stitchbirds, the North Island saddlebacks, the tuis. It's where I missed the takahe, but you can go see it. I promise, look hard for it. And if you spend the night, you can see kiwis on that island too. Kaikoura, the best place in the world to see albatrosses. I made a whole video about it. You can find it in one of my links here. You're only 3 miles offshore. You can still see shore, and the albatrosses fly with you. The tour was so awesome, I took it twice. You'll see multiple species of albatross, petrels, shearwaters up close. And today I'm even wearing my albatross shirt that I bought. You want to book your trip to Stewart Island. This, of all things, you have to book as soon as you know you're going to New Zealand. Book this first, because there's only one lodge on the island, the Stewart Island Lodge. We stayed there, awesome people, amazing breakfast, but there's only like 4 or 5 rooms, so it fills up fast. Make that, build your trip around that Stewart Island Lodge. And then use Real NZ to book your tours to Ulva Island for the kiwi viewing. You can spend 3 days on the island and see lots. There are 2 tours in Okarito that I took. I recommend both of them because there's rare birds in Okarito that they're only found there. There's an Okarito kiwi, so I took the kiwi tour. That was a lot of fun. Interesting, but fun. And the lagoon tour to see the great egret. It's the only spot in New Zealand that they breed. Go to the Royal Albatross Center in Dunedin. You've seen the albatross cams that Cornell uses? Well, that's where they're filming these albatross chicks growing up, at the Royal Albatross Center. In fact, it's the only albatross breeding colony in the world that's on mainland, not on a remote island. So you can just drive right up to it. It was awesome. My rule, if there's an island involved, a boat, or a single lodge in a remote area, book it early. Even one missed reservation can unravel your whole birding route. I got lucky once or twice, seeing the kiwis every time we looked, but if I had to do it again, I'd pre-book at least Stewart Island and Kaikoura and Itinerary well in advance. So here's what made my birding DIY tour in New Zealand actually doable. Here's what worked. I saw 107 species. I didn't hire a guide. I didn't go on a tour. I didn't spend $10,000. I did it myself. I had 26 days, but I only birded part-time. Most of it was with my family. But I picked important spots. I didn't miss Itinerary. I didn't miss Kaikoura. I made sure we went to the Otago Peninsula. We went to Arthur's Pass. I went to that coffee shop with my wife and saw the Kia. We went to Stewart Island and Ulva Island. I focused on the endemics, and I kept track every day with my eBird. I used my spreadsheet that I built, and I built in flexibility. With help from my field guide, we saw it all. I ended up with 107 species, all DIY, in a rental car with my family in tow. Are you planning a birding trip to New Zealand? Have I inspired you to go and do a DIY yourself? Drop your must-see birds in the comments below. Is it the kiwi? Is it the kia? Is it the takahi? The albatross? I break all this down in my newsletter. So subscribe, the link's in the description below. And like this video, give me some thumbs up if you want more DIY birding tips. And subscribe for my deep dives on Stewart Island, the Kaikoura pelagics, and my Itinerary experience. Those are awesome videos somewhere up here.